Remember, when Jesus was here in the flesh, it wasn't the pagans, it wasn't the unbelievers, it wasn't the sexually depraved, it wasn't people who were living their lives completely contrary to God who were his biggest problem, who opposed him, who tried to get him crucified. In fact, those were the people most drawn to him. Instead, it was the religious folks. It was the rule keepers. It was people like you and me. I would be willing to bet, because I know many of you, that you grew up, like I did, as a person who did his or her best to always do what was expected of them. You were a good kid for the most part. You didn't rebel tremendously against your parents. You turned in your homework on time. As an adult, you replace your divots on the golf course, and you pretty much follow the rules, and you do what's expected. You're a respectable citizen, which is a good thing. I think that's an easier way to live than, fighting against the wind all the time. And yet we're the ones who are most drawn to this legalism that is such a cancer in God's church. And interestingly, one of those Pharisees who hated Jesus so much was a man named Saul of Tarsus, who then met him on the road to Damascus. And from that day forward, he hated legalism. He wrote a whole book about it. That's the book of Galatians. We may do that next year. I'm still praying about that. But right here in Colossians, as he's talking to the Colossian Christians about making Jesus preeminent, he wants them to make sure they know the difference between making Jesus your king and making the law your king. And we're going to talk about that today, because I think a lot of us don't know the difference between following Jesus and following rules, between simply being religious and having a relationship with an actual Savior.